Hey, I'm Tony K. Welcome to Transformation School. Today's lesson is going to be about the Transformers Generations Chromia and the Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Arcee. Now this figure is the Revealer's figure, not the first edition Arcee, because these two figures are they share similar design properties. I've got my teacher's aide Toriana here with me.
Hi, everybody.
And she's going to help me with transforming these two figures at the same time. First we need to remove our weapons. And the sword.
I don't even need to take it off.
Pull straight up. Wiggle it. Turn it. Twist it.
Oh my goodness.
That's a tight joint right there. Now we'll turn the figure to the side. And we'll fold the wheel down. And do the other wheel. And next we'll fold the foot back on both sides. And now we will put the bottom wheels together. On camera. There you go.
Why isn't it lining up? Okay, I surrender. I told you didn't want me to help you.
Okay, that goes into that hole. Okay, next we need to untab the hips from the back section, and there's a little hinge on the middle of the waist, and that's also going to cause the head to collapse down into the chest cavity. There you go. And now fold the legs into the chest. Excellent. And now straighten the arms back. Now my arms have a round bit on the elbow that fits into a round cavity on the side. And then this hollow piece is going to face upward on mine. On Toriana has a slot on her forearm that will turn in and peg onto a tab on the side of Arcee. Excellent. Now my hands can face pretty much any direction. I think I will turn the back of the hand towards the outside. Toriana should do the same. And now Toriana's hands on the Revealer's Arcee fold in underneath the back of the motorcycle, whereas mine stay stationary and instead get covered up by this butt flap.
Is that a technical term?
I believe so. And then this clear plastic bit, it doesn't tab into anything. It seems as though it might fit behind this little slot of plastic right here. And now we bring the front wheel of the motorcycle down, and I'll figure out which way to turn mine when I'm done. With Toriana's, with the Revealer's Arcee, we'll put this longer section out toward the front and this shorter section underneath. And I need to bring my wings out and fold the top down, and then I fold my wheel in. Then you'll need to push this piece up underneath here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Here, now fold on this hinge up underneath. There you go. And then use this hinge to bring the wheel forward. Other direction.
That was forward.
bring the wheel forward, put the hinge back towards your head.
See, you went out of order and you messed me up.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to turn something here.
You did turn it.
Oh, apparently not.
So we're going to bring the wheel forward and put this hinge back toward the head. There we go. And last but not least, we need to tab our wings into the side of the motorcycle. And there's a tab on the side and a slot on the wing. You see that Chromia's wings are much shorter than Arcee's. It looks like it's reversed on Arcee. Arcee has the tab on her wing, the slot on her leg. Chromia's got a tab on the leg and a slot on the wing. And then both figures come with a kickstand.
Needs a longer kickstand.
Here, I can tab this windshield piece in. There we are. We got our two motorcycles together. And then Chromia's gun can peg into the side, and Arcee's weapons can peg into the side of the front wheel. There we go. Lovely ladies in blue. Now we're ready for transformation back to robot mode. We'll pull the weapon off here. Open these little winglets on the side. And grab the back of the canopy. There's a bit of a tab in the back there. And lift that forward. Next we'll raise the tail section. And next we're going to pull this leg section. We're going to pivot it at the knee. There's a pin on each knee, as well as rotate the upper thigh at the hips. Next we're going to free the arms and free the feet. That is the wheel. Just get your fingernails or a tool right in there in the middle, down the middle of the wheel. And we'll rotate the wheels into the back section of the leg on this pin on the foot. I suppose we'll need to pivot the foot forward on a pin at the ankle. We'll finish that. We'll pivot this foot forward first and then fold the wheel on this pin. We'll bring the tail section down and we'll bring the hips down. There is a gimmick inside of here where the hips move. When the hips move, the head moves. In this case, I am going to bring this canopy on a hinge right here back, bringing the head up and the hips back. That only got us part way. I'm going to finish pushing the hips down in line with the waist, and that brought her head up the rest of the way. You want to see that from the front. Hips forward, hips back. And now we need to tuck the front section of the motorcycle in back. And fold this wheel down and turn it so that it lays flat on her back. And then Toriana can put her wings all the way back, whereas Chromia's tucked down to the sides. And we'll give them their accessories back. Excellent. Let's thank Toriana, everybody.
You're welcome.
So let's take a look at some of the design elements that are the same on this figure. Parts that were completely identical between the two molds. It appears that the upper arm, the bicep area, and the shoulder are the same. The hands appear to be the same mold. The feet appear to be the same mold. Now, the thighs appear to be the same mold, but Arcee has a opening in her thigh, whereas Chromia's is filled in. So we see that the upper thigh has two separate pieces, the outer side and the inner side. So the inner side is a new mold on Chromia from the design on Arcee. And it looks like the front half of the chest, as well as the area below the head, are also the same mold. And that might be the extent of the similarities between the two. Now, when we look at the wheels, we definitely got a different connection design on the inside. Longer slots versus much smaller slots, and much smaller tabs on Arcee. And that might, these longer slots with longer tabs might help more with connecting the two wheels. Because certainly there should be improvements on the mold and the design, since this figure was released so many years after Arcee. And one more point worth mentioning on the Chromia figure is that both the artwork on the comic book that comes with it and the back of the package show Chromia with two weapons, but she only comes with the one weapon. There's even a little notice here that additional weapon not included, but this weapon right here was included with the pink Generations Arcee figure that came out in the same wave as Chromia. Here, let's have a closer look. So, for whatever reason, when they took the photographs for this packaging, they had this pistol in her hand, but instead of selling it with this figure, they sold it with the Arcee figure. Could be a number of reasons why, but probably somebody's mistake. Just a bit of FYI for you. Well, that's it for today's class, everybody. Thank you for watching, and class dismissed. And here we have Arcee in vehicle mode. I called her Arcee, I meant Chromia. And here's Arcee in vehicle mode. And how about Windblade? Nice trio of fembots from the new Generations line. Now, one little tidbit that disappoints me just a hair, just a tiny little bit of disappointment, is that there isn't a pin here on this clear canopy. You know, I'd enjoy opening and closing this section. As a matter of fact, with all the things they're doing with the Generations line to harken back to the 1980s, like with Target Masters that came with Scoop, and the Headmaster with the Generations Voyager Brainstorm, and the mini-cons that came with figures like the Generations Legends Class Cosmos, Scrapnel, Swerve, and Gears. I would enjoy seeing a future line that had some little Diaclone style figures, just little humanoids that would fit into the cockpit areas and seating areas of Transformers during their vehicle mode. And here she is with Arcee. And here she is with Windblade. There we go. I'm going to see that face. I find the best way to open a carded figure is to cut a flap in the side where you can pull the plastic tray out, remove the figure, play with it, display it, but someday put the figure back in the tray, slide it back in the package, and then you can put it back on your shelf, put it in storage, give it to somebody, sell it to somebody, whatever you want to do with it. But it makes it more of a collectible when preserving your packaging. Now, I recently opened a few figures through this side, through the right side, and that allowed me to pull the comic book out pretty easily, put it back in pretty easily. But I think I prefer to open these figures from the bottom. Now, the bottom of the packaging is a little more narrow than the top, but because of the flimsiness of the plastic tray inside, it's pretty easy to pull the tray out and put it back in without difficulty. We're going to start by putting an incision down this side, being careful not to cut the cardboard, the instructions inside there, or the comic book when we get to the bottom. I also want to try not to cut the plastic tray. And we're pretty close to the bottom. We might touch that up a bit later if we need to. Next, I want to go into this corner so that I can come across the bottom to the other corner without piercing the comic book. As I cut across the bottom of the package, I don't want to cut the comic, I don't want to cut the cardboard insert, I don't want to cut the instructions, and if possible, I don't want to cut the inner plastic tray. Now I'm hoping that someday Hasbro will make an actual flap right here. You know, they could tape it up so that when this is in the store, you know, it's difficult for you to just steal the figure. I mean, they've got Voyager class figure in boxes, so no reason to assume that you couldn't put a little flap on the bottom of this plastic. And then another incision, one down this side. Again, I don't want to cut the cardboard. I notice the instructions are a quarter of an inch, you know, maybe a half a centimeter inside there, so I'm not too worried about cutting the instructions on this side. But I also would prefer not to cut through the inner plastic tray. But practice and a delicate hand will make this go successfully. And now I'm able to pull the instructions out. I'm going to pull the plastic tray out and expect the cardboard to come with it. And then I can pull out my book. I can read my book, look at the pictures, and then when I'm done, I can put it back in the package. I want to be careful not to crease the corners as I put this in. I want to be careful not to cut the edge of the book on any of this semi-sharp plastic. Then I'll cut the plastic ties, pull my figure out, transform it, finish the video, which came before this extra credit section. And then someday when I'm ready, when I'm done with the figure, I'll put it back in the plastic tray, put the plastic tray back onto the card. I'll put this cardboard insert back in. And I'll put the instructions back in. And that is how I would like to see my fellow collectors open their packages. Thank you for sticking around for the extra credit. We'll see you in the next class.